Hello and welcome back. In this session we will handle the screen at the end of the game when the number of available balls turns to 0. In the previous session we ended the script by saying that if the number of balls available is 0, then we will broadcast an end game. I am going to add logic to this stage. The stage is the background of the game, so that when the end game is broadcast, I will change the screen to either monster win or human win or else a tie, because the amount of points scored by the human and the ones scored by the monster are the same. To do that, I change to this stage, and I'm going to start off by creating backgrounds. The current background is a plain white background. I'm going to add a new one, and this time I'm going to paint it. And in this new background, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to say monster win or something like monster rules. This background I will display only when the monsters manage to get more balls than the human player. I'm going to change the name from background to monster win. I'm going to create another background. This time I'm going to add a message, humans do it again, and this will be displayed when the humans win the match. Again, I'm going to call this human win. And finally, I'm painting the last screen, which will be displayed when it's a tie. Now I'm going to the scripts area, and this script which is here is executed, it's run when the green flag is clicked, so when the game is started. It will first set all the variables to number of balls available to 10 and the score to 0, and here I'm going to change the looks of the screen by switching the background to background 1. So initially I want the background to be a plain sheet of paper. Then I'm adding new code, and this code will be executed when I receive endgame. Now the logic in this new section of the code should be created in a way that it will check whether the human has won, and if it did, change the background. If the human didn't win, it will check whether the monster won, and if it did, change the right background. Otherwise it will display the tie screen. Now to do all this, I will use if statements. So I go to the control block area, I will use an if else, and the first thing I'm going to check is if the humans manage to score more goals than the monsters. So I'm going to operators, I'll use the block which is a comparison block, checks the greater than. I go to the variables, I get humans and then monster. So if the human scored more than the monster, then I want to change the background to human win. So I go to looks, switch backgrounds to, and I'll change it to human win. Otherwise, so it's the else part, there are two other possibilities here. It could be the monsters have won, or it could be a tie. So I will use another if statement. So I'll put the if statement there. I'll go to the operators again. I'm going to check whether the monsters won, so I put the if statement here. Go to variables again, get the score for the monster, and I'll check whether the monster score is greater than the human score. If it is, I'm going to change the background to a monster win. And finally, if it was not a monster win, if it's not a human win, then it must be a tie. So I'll use again the switch block, and I'll change it to actually this is called background 2. I should change the name to make it more readable. I'll change it to a tie. Okay, that should do it. Let's try it out. So I'll start the game. The screen is currently white, and I'll actually try playing. The humans are winning. It's a draw. Monsters are winning. Okay, it's nearly, there you go, it should be a tie. And as you can see, behind the monster I do have it's a tie written down. But the game isn't working as it should be, because I can still keep playing the game even though the game should have ended. So again we have another bug which we have to solve. I'm going to solve this bug by going back to the stage code and looking how the ball is shot. Right now, when the green flag is started, the variables are initialized, so we're going to put 10 balls available. We're going to put the score for humans and monsters to 0, change the background to 1, and then we have this loop which is going to be executed forever. And basically it will check if the mouse is down. Now, we need to alter this so that we don't just check if the mouse is down, but we also check that there are available balls. To do that, I'm going to the operators section. I'm using an AND block. So I'm going to say if mouse is down and the number of available balls is greater than 0. So again, I'll use the greater than. I'll use the variables again. So if the mouse is down and the number of balls is greater than 0, then we're going to broadcast a shoot ball. So I'll just move this back to the if statement. This means that when I try to shoot and there are no available balls, it won't allow me. Nothing will happen. But this is not enough. The monster is actually sitting just in front of my message. So I want to move the monster down when the game ends. To do that, I have to change to the goalie sprite, and I have to add a new block which will be executed when I receive game end. So when I receive end game, I want the monster to move to here. Now I'll just move it down here first. I'll check the X and Y coordinates. I'll go to looks. I'll go to motion. And I'll glide and say 0.5 of a second to -20 and -125, which is where the goalie is right now. So this will mean that once the game ends, the ball will not be able to move and the goalie will move to the lower part of the screen. Let me test this. Okay, it's 1-0 for the humans, 2-0, 2-1, a tie. And the humans have nearly won this game. Humans do it again. The monster went to the bottom part of the screen, and if I click anywhere on the screen, nothing is happening. because the game has ended.